So, I just recorded the entire podcast for the first time, and it looks like it wasn't recording. So, I'm just going to do it again, but I'm going to make it shorter. I spent like an hour doing it, and I'm going to make it shorter. Um, One good thing about your first podcast, not going to plan, is that I can cut it down now because I know it was too long. So, I'm going to start at the top here. Rory Day, Spieth. Um, so I'd say because I did a course rundown through what other people are saying, what I think based on history here. I would say if you want a good course rundown, go to futurefantasy.com. Josh Kolb has a great course rundown for every course on the PGA Tour. That's the information that you're going to want. But I mean, so that information is reflected in these stats, these numbers that you're seeing. Obviously, I don't need to explain to you green is better than red. Um, you want your screens to be green this week, and I'm going to try to help you get there. So I have Josh Culp's ranking on the right side, the future of fantasy rank. He's a really sharp guy. He does an article for Roto Grinders every week. Searching for a specialist, I can pull it up really quick. But last week I'm gonna plug Josh Culp here. Number one on the searching for a specialist. I don't know what you want to call it. Matrix was the winner, Brooks Koepka. So this week, a lot of guys at the top that I don't want really. Pedersen, he's done really well here in the past. I will say that, but um, if you want some Carl Pedersen action in your life, 3 of 14 made cuts. He was a member at the course where they play the Wells Fargo, and he went out there and shot a 79 in the first round, which is not ideal. There were a lot of sharp people like CSU Ram 88. I play him in head-to-heads on FanDuel every week. Small money, but I like to see where the highly experienced pros put their money every week, because I know they're playing the same cash lineup in $500 head-to-heads as they are in the head-to-head against me, and I don't mind losing $2 in my bankroll. And I say losing, but really I've been beating them most weeks. Um, that's not a brag; it's facts. I can, more than welcome to show you that if you want me to. But um, yeah, so 79, in the first round there from Pedersen. That's not what you want to see at your home course. He's just not good. So even though he pops in that model, I'm not going to play him. Koepka's a guy that we know is good and we know can pop. Campbell and Furyk, I do like. Jason Day, man, I don't even want to talk about Jason Day, but Paul Casey, Brian Harmon, these are guys that they pop here. So yeah, Brian Harmon, man, I don't know about Brian Harmon. We'll get there, but I just wanted to give that little shout out so you know where future fantasy rank comes from. It's not BS. This guy knows what he's talking about. And then this stat I have in bold: par four efficiency, 400 yards to 450 yards. It is where 7 of the par fours on this course come from. Obviously, 7 over 18. That's a large amount of holes. Um, these holes here, par 3, 150 to 175, 200 to 225. There are 2 holes of each in this range. So, I'm not going to weight them super heavily, but it's something I do want to consider. If it's a tiebreaker and one guy just straight sucks at these par 3s from this distance, maybe he's a 200, maybe he's a 180, 190 yard guy. Maybe that's his strongest iron, maybe whatever. But it's something I want to take into consideration. I'm not gonna fade a guy because he sucks at these par 3s, but I'm also not gonna weigh it too heavily. But starting at the top, Rory, we don't have the stats for, but he just didn't look great last week. He's coming off injury, changed his putter. I'm not gonna go there. There's no reason I need to spend that money this week for safety when there's guys below him that I think are better scorers right now, and I think have the same upside. It's not one of those things where I think a stud is going to win the tournament. I think you're going to see one of these mid-range guys win it, and we're going to get down to them. Jason Day, he doesn't have an iron right now. You can't stick anything to save his life. I don't know what's wrong with the guy. I think he may be hiding an injury. There's no reason Jason Day is this bad with his irons right now. Um, yeah, I'm just not going to go there. There's no reason for me to play him when Spieth is right there. And Spieth, these greens are easy to putt on. They are slow. They are not difficult. And that's why you see, some bad putters really do well here. Get to two really bad putters that I really like this week. But Spieth, my voice is getting shot because I just did an hour of this pod. Spieth, I think he's the favorite to win this week overall. His ball striking, his tee to green game, everything lines up for him. All he needs to do is go back to being the world-class putter that we know he is. Once easily the best putter in the world, I think. Ran away with a Masters tournament, riding that putter. So I think if you want the ultimate safety in your cash or GPP lineups, you can take Spieth. Now, I think Day and Rory will be under-owned compared to Spieth because of that angle. Spieth was the only one of them to make the cut at the U.S. Open. And I think that left a lot of people that did play Spieth, like me, saying, he's the one that we want here, so we're going to keep riding him. I agree with that. And then I think the people that played a stud last week that missed the cut are going to say, shit, which stud should I have played? Which stud is coming through for people? And that stud was Jordan Spieth, besides Fowler, who I don't even want to talk about that. But Spieth, he's the guy that either, showed up last week because he was the good one or because you had the bad one and you wanted to see who the good one was. Sunday he got unlucky. It was windy in the morning when he played. Whatever. He would have had to do something crazy to get Koepka anyway. At that point, it's, whatever. Justin Thomas is my favorite high-end cash play of the week. I'm not worried about him coming off a letdown after the U.S. Open. If anything, I think he just showed that his game is in a really good place right now. Didn't really live up to it on Sunday, but, how are you going to follow up a 63 where you got all the pressure on you the next day? Whatever. Justin Thomas is the most top 10s on tour this year. Look at these stats, man. These are all dark green numbers. That is what I want. I'm going to play Justin Thomas. On my initial DK cash build, I ended up with 500 left on the table, and I had Paul Casey. So I thought, really, I don't see a difference. I'm going to go to Thomas. I'm not going to tinker with the rest of my lineup that I'm comfortable with. I'm just going to go to Thomas. So, speaking of, Thomas I think is going to be really chalky, but I don't see any problem with it. I'm not worried about him. The U.S. Open hangover I think is going to be overblown. But there is one guy that I think will suffer from it. We'll get there. Paul Casey, though, guy that we know can't putt, but I think he is set up perfectly for this course because you don't need to be able to putt. He will get the ball in the fairway, he will get the ball on the green, and he will make birdies because you don't need to be that good at putting. I think Paul Casey is... I would honestly take Paul Casey to win this tournament over Jason Day and Rory McIlroy right now. It's a hot take, but that's where I would stand. If I'm definitely if I'm betting one of these guys, I'm betting Casey before I'm betting Rory or Day at their odds this week. But Casey safe in cash on both sides. He's a little hard to get to on FanDuel. We'll talk about that. Patrick Reed, rounding into form, the stats don't really tell the full story there, but at the same time, Patrick Reed hasn't found that, go and compete for a win form that I really want to see from him before I invest this kind of money. Paul Casey has been top 25 machine. Patrick Reed has not. And at that price, I'm just not going to go there. I don't mind Reed. Like I said, I don't mind the play. But, just the record here, all that, just not a fan. I just don't see a reason to go there in cash or GPP, really. Snedeker, I like more than Reed. Snedeker getting over a wrist injury, so I don't think the stats tell the full story here either. I think the stats are better than what they appear on Sneds. His putter is hot, man. That is that is his strong suit, and I think that's what carried him while he nursed that wrist injury. That's why he has all these strong performances while his stats don't really pop. But you see this 125 to 150 range, money, par four birdie or better, money, par four 450, money again. Um, Par three is solid. I think Snedeker is not going to be talked about enough to go win this tournament, and I think he has a good chance to go do it. And if he does, I don't want to be not on him because I played Patrick Reed. Now, I think Patrick Reed has a chance to win too, but I would rather be on the guy that I'm more confident in when he wins than take an ownership stance on a guy or take a, just take a stance on Reed. I really don't know why I would do that, so I'm just not going to. Leishman, love him this week. 5 of 5 made cuts here. He's a cash play on both sites. FanDuel, man, look at that price. You got to lock him in, I think. You got to lock him in. I don't need to say too much more, but Leishman, not a great putter all the time, but these greens, like I said, slow. If I just say not a great putter, don't let yourself hold that against the guy. Leishman, solid top 30 machine. I think he gets top 30 here again this week. Berger, I had him at the St. Jude, liked him there. Not always the biggest fan of defending champions because they just seem to have a letdown historically, or they make the cut and then don't do well. But Berger sets up so well for that course at St. Jude that he had to go back, and I think he sets up really well here too. My only concern is the miscut last week. But he did play only once here, 5th place. You gotta like to see that. That was also after, that was last year, and they played this at a different time last year, so I can't say it was after the St. Jude where he won and then did well at the U.S. Open the week later. But, I don't know. You could go to him, you couldn't. I don't know. He's going to go under-owned because of the guys he's in between, but, he's a GPP play. Go for it. If he's going to be 8% owned, 10% owned, I think that you want some Berger. Just hoping that he gets a top 5 and Leishman gets, 18th or something. Because then you're going to have just more points. It's not a cash play, I wouldn't say, but, he's a GPP play for sure. That FanDuel price, a little high, but still in GPP play there. I'd rather find the 300 for Sneds, but that's just me. Steele, love him this week. He's going to be in both my DraftKings and FanDuel cash lineups. One of 2 on each site at least. Definitely both on FanDuel. Yeah, the stats tell the story here. Steele makes all the cuts. He's a great scorer. He's going to get the job done this week. Top 20, book it. Brian Harman, he's going to have a hangover, man. I just don't like him this week. Whenever I don't like him, he goes out and he kills it. Whenever I do like him, he sucks. So I'm going to take him to, I don't know. I think he's going to suck this week. And sure, let him go do his thing. But he's shown upside here before. He's also shown missed cuts here before. I don't know. The stats don't pop enough for me overall besides the par 4 400 to 450 range. I'm just going to say that Brian Harman is going to have a letdown this week. I don't know. It could burn me. I don't know. I just don't want to take that shot in cash. It's just... Brian Harman, he hasn't been this price all year. I'm not going to start paying this price for Brian Harman now. I mean, look at this quick. Look, Brian Harman. Brian Gay, also the worst. Yeah, Brian Harman, man, cut at the Memorial. 7th at Dean DeLuca, 53rd at the Players, 1st at Wells Fargo, 9th at Heritage, cut, 13th, cut. You never know what you're going to get out of this guy. And, I just don't know. I just don't know what you want here. He was great tee to green and approach last week. I don't know, man. You got to take a stance. You either want to be on him or you're not, but I can't. If I was going to go to him, it would be FanDuel, where I think he's underpriced relative to where he is on DraftKings and the guys he's around. But man, I just don't know. I want to go there because I want to ride the wave, but seems like when he does this and gets hot, he goes and misses the cut. So I don't know, man. He's missed the cut here last year. I'm just going to say he does it again. And I hope he gets some ownership at that FanDuel price. I'm just going to fade him. Finau, love him. He's going to be in my FanDuel cash lineup. He's not going to be in my DraftKings cash lineup, I don't think, just because of that price. It's a little iffy for me. Like I said, though, I love the guy. I think he's going to do really well this week. He's finished 25th in both times he's played here. I like that from Finau. He's another guy that just tends to have good course history when he will do well at a course. He's a course history kind of player for me. Stanley, love him. Play him in everywhere. I'm just not playing him on DraftKings cash. I'd rather have 3 of the 9K guys, and that's where I'm going to go, just because I don't think there's enough safety in the high 7s, low 8s for me this week. But, yeah, Finau is going to be my cash guy on DraftKings over Stanley if I'm in that high 8K range. But, man, FanDuel, 7K, lock him in. He's going to be like 70% in cash, and if he's not, I think there's a problem. Moving on to Furyk. Furyk, I can't get behind him. He played well at the U.S. Open, but before that, man, just missing cuts left and right. I think it was a major. It hyped him up, and I don't know, man. Shot a 58 here last year. I don't know. Maybe the good vibes continue at this course for Furyk. Maybe they don't, but I'm not going to find out for 8,500. 6,500 on FanDuel I can get behind, but I'm still not playing him in cash just because of how bad he's been this year, man. Like, one good performance from Furyk isn't going to make me say that Furyk is back. Just like Stricker. Like, one good performance at the U.S. Open from Stricker not going to make me say that Stricker's back. So, moving on, Watson, same deal. The stats tell the story here for Watson. I think he lost a lot of weight and changed his body composition. Now, something is wrong, man. I think it's his mechanics, his swing. Something is not really right with Bubba. But that said, he owns this course. 2 wins here, never missed a cut, never really even been close to missing a cut. Like, I want to play him in cash. Like, if this was anyone else, if this course history was Zach Johnson's at that same price, man, Zach Johnson, lock and load. You'd be in all my lineups. But, man, Bubba, like, what happened, man? I don't know. But I'm not gonna go there. I just can't do it. Especially not for 8,500 on FanDuel. I'll take Finau over Bubba. I'm just not gonna take Bubba this week. Not buying him. ZJ, yeah, I mean, solid. You know what you're gonna get out of him. I don't think you're getting the top 10, but I don't think you're getting a missed cut. You can play him in cash if you want. 8,300 on DraftKings, I don't mind. If he fits your build, he fits one of my builds, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go wait on that lineup or not. FanDuel, I'd rather have Leishman. I'd rather have Steele. I'd rather have Finau. And there was another guy, Hoffman, I'd rather have. But right now, I don't know about him, so we're going to talk about him in a bit. But I think I only need 3 of those 8-point whatever guys. And I think that our boy ZJ is going to miss out there. I just don't see the upside that I do with the other guys. Tway, I think, is a hot streak golfer, and he's coming down the mountain now. I don't think that Kevin Tway is as good as he was a few weeks ago. I think he's going to revert to that long-term form, and regression is coming. This might not be the week for it, but I also don't want to play Kevin Tway at 8,200 on DraftKings when you're getting him in weeks past at 6,400. I don't see a reason to take that risk. 6,900 on FanDuel is interesting. I'm not going to go there, though. Campbell, same deal. FanDuel price is interesting because he looks solid here. He's been in form. His DraftKings price is too damn high. I'm not going there. I do want to look quick at Campbell, though, just because St. Jude, I had Brian Gay over Chad Campbell because Brian Gay showed more upside in the past at the St. Jude. Campbell went out and killed it and fucked my head up because, yeah, not what I expected, man. But, you know, when he goes out and does well at a course, this year he's been top 30s, top 10s. You know, that DraftKings price sucks, but FanDuel price, man, it's interesting. Definitely interesting. I'm not against playing Campbell in cash, but man, I worry. Um, I worry a bit. Lingmerth, I don't know. I think people are going to play him this week. I'm not. I'm going to fade him. Um, just a personal play. Knox, defending champ. I'm not a big Russell Knox guy. Never have been. I just don't like him that much this week. To repeat, I hope people buy in, and I hope he misses the cut. Like Kevin Streelman did a few years back. I like Streelman a lot at that FanDuel price, 5,900. It's honestly a tough call in cash for me between Streelman and Campbell over there on FanDuel. I need one of those guys in my lineup to get the upside that I want at the top. But man, I just don't know which one I want. Streelman's stats, um, you know, compared to Campbell, you see like at the top and bottom of this rectangle here, like Campbell's been better on approaches mostly. Like Streelman's been better at this par four range though, so it's tough to say. For me, I think Streelman's putter has been coming alive recently, and I think that two top 13s these past two tournaments. I like to see that. I'm going to play him over Campbell, I think, just because I think he has that upside, and he's won here before. Lovemark, been showing the upside recently, but when he does that, he tends to go on a downswing. This may be the week for it, may not be, but I'm not going to take that risk in cash, not at that price. Sung Yeol No sucks. Statistically, I'm not going to play him. Xander won a guy $1 million last week. Not going to go there. I just don't think he's this good. He's a ball striker, sure, but whatever. Play him at 7,600. I'm not going to do it in cash. Tournaments, I can see it, but I think he might be a little too popular for my liking just because of how he did last week, and everyone now knows that he was on the $1 million lineup. Lahiri will top 10 or miss the cut here. That's just what he does. I don't want to play him this week anywhere. I'm not putting my money in a guy that I don't trust that much. Swafford either makes the cut barely and doesn't do anything special or misses the cut. He's just a guy I have on this list still because he is known as a cut maker last year and people still hang on to that, I think. But he's not that guy right now, so I'm not going to play him. I do want to say quick before we get into this bottom range that any guy I don't have on my cheat sheet is because I was putting these stats in and I immediately just said I don't want to play this guy. So that's going to happen down here. Like Ryan Ruffles, I think, is 7,200. I'm not playing Ryan Ruffles over Griot. I'm not playing him over Ben On. So I just X those guys out. If one of them goes out and wins, sorry I didn't put you on him. But I'm not on him either. So we go down together. But I will say going to Bud Cauley, a guy I really like this week on FanDuel. I like him on DraftKings in tournaments. FanDuel, I like him in cash just because you need 8 guys, and I think he's a good value over there. DraftKings, though, not so sold on him at that price. I'd like the safety more from some lower guys. Yeah, I mean he's been killing it, this year. But I think he's kind of gonna come over the edge. Pull up Bud Cauley here real quick. Okay, obviously U.S. Open, 73 and 75, man. Like, if you're complaining about Bud Cauley shooting a +4 in 2 rounds at the U.S. Open, like, you're kind of crazy. He still made a fuck ton of birdies, like 8 birdies though. That's a lot. He still scored relatively well for a +4. We knew Aaron Hills had those blow up holes, and Bud Cauley found them. And he always does. He always seems to find 1 or 2 of those double bogeys. But he's a birdie machine, and I like that about him. I think he is a very good play this week. I'm not going to have him in my DK cash, but I will have him in my FanDuel cash line. Another guy that I really don't like this week is Sung Kang. We were on him in Texas. Fade time. Charlie Hoffman. I liked him a lot. He was my cash lock on DraftKings before this sickness news, and now Ugh, now I don't know what to do. Now I don't know what to do with him. Let's do a cursory Twitter search. Hoffman sick. Alright, let's see what we get. See what we got. Obviously, you can see I was doing some Brian Harmon research. My internet wanted to work. That would be wonderful. Come on. Okay. Yeah. Scotty Mack, sharp guy. Let's see what he has to say. My worry is that he withdraws. I mean, I just don't want to go there. Yeah, Scotty Mack, sharp guy. He's tour level fantasies cash guy. Man, I don't want to go there this week in cash, man. I can't. Stick with Hoffman or take Cauley. I agree with that take. I agree with that take a lot. But I just can't put my stock in a guy that's not feeling that well. There's a withdrawal risk there. You know, it gets worse, and I don't know what it is either. You know, it could be a stomach bug, in which case he's good luck. You know, hitting fairways when you have to shit. You know, it's different than a head cold, but even a head cold, you know, it messes with your mental game a little bit. You know, I know when I have a head cold, I'm not on my mental game. You know, at work, so it is what it is. I'm not going to take Charlie Hoffman in cash anymore. Maybe it burns me, maybe it doesn't, but even the times that he's popped here, he has not shown a ton of upside, and that's what I'm comfortable with. Keegan, another guy. Oh man, you never play Keegan in cash, but I do like him this week in tournaments. My problem is he hasn't shown upside here before. It's his home course. I think he's happy to just come here and play and do well. I don't know. He's never competed for the championship here, so I don't know. You could play him in cash if you're very into that sort of thing. I'm just not taking that risk, man. Marty Laird, a guy that I think honestly is cash viable, but I'm not going to go there. The price just doesn't interest me anymore. Grayson Murray on a string of made cuts. I think he's a risky play. On FanDuel, you can play him, and in a GPP, I don't hate it, but you know, I also just don't like his game. Really, I don't think he's a great golfer. And you know, when he stopped tweeting about everything, he started to do really well. And now he came out with I don't know if you saw it, but maybe you didn't because he probably blocked you like he did me. But he came out with some hot takes this week on race and police shootings. So yeah, he's back to spouting off on the timeline. So I think he's gonna go back to his ways of sucking. And there's a guy right below him, Emiliano Grillo, that I really like. I missed cut it at the U.S. Open by a pretty decent margin, but you know, if I'm putting stock in a guy to make the cut, it's not going to be Grayson Murray. It's going to be Grillo. That's what he does. He makes cuts. He does not show that upside, though, that I really want. So I'm fine with him in cash in both sites. Ben On, a guy that I will have in my DK cash lineups for sure. Too cheap. I don't care if it's his debut here. This looks like a course that will set up well for him. It's a ball striker's course. Putting not so important. That all screams Ben On. There's a reason guys like Casey do well here. Ben On barely missed the cut at the U.S. Open. Before that, he was on fire. So I like him a lot. McGirt did well at the U.S. Open. I'm not going to play him in cash over On. I don't hate the play. He's just never shown upside here, and he's missed a cut. Dillette showed upside here, hasn't missed a cut. Showed upside last time out. He's inconsistent. We know that, but he's inconsistent at courses where there is danger around the greens. Or the greens are just hard to hit. So those two things combined are not good for Dillette. We know he is like bottom 5% on tour and around the green. So, you know, you just can't take stock in him when, you know, you need around the green game. But this is not one of those tournaments. You know, this is a place where it's easy to get the fairways. It's easy to hit the green. And then when he's on the green, he's going to make birdies and he's going to make pars. I don't see Dillette screwing us over this week. I'm going to have him in my cash lineups on both sites. I think I may try to find the extra $100 for Griot. But yeah, I mean the odds makers like to let two, so I don't know. It's going to be tough for me to say. Maybe Griot's odds are lower just because, like I said, he doesn't have that upside. Maybe he's just as safe to make the cut. Um, Let me do a quick dig here. Griot make the cut odds travelers. Let's see what we get. I mean, I found these odds for the U.S. Open last week to make the cut. So, based on those pictures too, looks like everyone's picking Spieth. Yeah, like Harman 35-1, man. I don't really want any of that. The Let though 50-1. You know, I see that. I see Stanley. I see Colley. Yeah, see, that's my thing. Like, looking at these guys, I just don't. I don't love it. I don't love it at all. You know, it's odds to win and odds to make the cut. Safety, two different things, man. I think that's also why Strowman and Campbell are so different. Strowman better odds to win. Campbell probably just as safe though. It's like one of those. It's a dilemma, and I don't know which way I want to go on those, because the same kind of decisions burned me last week. Two things burned me last week. I went Louis over Koepka on FanDuel at the same price, 8,400. Same lineup, cash lineup. I went Peters over Stricker. So, those were the two, clear upside plays, better odds to win, all of that, all in all, I would say more talented golfers, but blow up potential. I did the same with Horschel over Fitzpatrick, too. Like, odds to go out there and just slay the field, but also, man, just how can you trust those guys? And I did, and it fucked me over. It was one of those where if I played Koepka over Louis, even if I left Peters in, I would have had still 4 of 8, but I would have had the winner. And I would have cashed most of my cash games and had a really good week. And instead, I had a very average week. So that is one of those things that I don't know how I feel about doing that this week. With playing a guy like, where is he? Yeah, playing a guy like, the hell did he go? Playing a guy like, where'd he go? My GBP guy. Totally forget who I was talking about. Graham DeLette. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to play him at that price, though. I just don't see anyone else in that price range. But yeah, Harman's the other guy that odds to win are great, but I don't know about that guy. But yeah, it's DeLette versus a guy like Griot on DraftKings. Yeah, it's tough because I think On is that right balance of upside and safety that I want. So On's going to be my favorite play of those three, but I'm going to rank them On, DeLette, Griot, just because DeLette's shown more upside here before. Griot's never played here. And I think that DeLette, when he does really well, he shows that upside, and I don't see him failing here. This year so far, if he's had good course history, usually I've been off of him just because he's missed a cut at a course where he hasn't had good course history. So I think I'm going to play that angle this week and just go for it. And I don't know. See, it's tougher on DraftKings because they're around the same price. That's the only thing. But of course, if Griot goes out there and he finishes, or if Griot could even miss the cut. Like, he just didn't impress me last week. Not a good course for him, sure, but if he goes out this week and puts up a T55 and DeLette goes out there and puts up a T20 at the same price, I'm gonna say, shit. Well, I thought about Dillette. Why did I not play Dillette? Course history, angle, blah, blah, blah. Stats look better. Good drive, better. What else we got? This third one over here. Where are we? Good drive, better. Ball striking, better. Par 4, 400 and 450. Grillo does have him there. And I know I said that would be kind of my tiebreaker stat. But I think Dillette's problem with that is also just harder to hit greens on some of these courses where, Grillo's better around the green. Sure. But I think Dillette's better in his approach game. And I think that's going to show up this week. Overall, I don't know, man. It's kind of a toss-up for me, though. But on FanDuel, like I said, Dillette is too cheap, and I'm going to play him there. Palmer, fading. Left him on the list just to say that. Webb, playing in cash on DraftKings. He is a lock in cash on DraftKings for me. I haven't heard many people talking about him, but I'm all in on Webb this week. Great history here. Great form, man. I'm all in on Webb. Good luck talking me off Webb. Harris English, great course history, man, but I just don't buy him as a great player. I'm just not going to play him this week. If Nah missed the cut at the U.S. Open, I wouldn't even have to talk about him, but I do now. I don't mind him as a GPP play. He's the same Kevin Na that we always known. He's just not making cuts this year, and given that the stats, they just don't support him, or they do support him very well here, but I just don't like where his game has been all year, and that miscut scares me because he's the same Kevin Na now, and it's not like this course has changed. So I don't know. I'm just not sold on Kevin Na. If I'm going anywhere here, it's Webb. I think Webb has more upside here anyway. Piercy, another one of those guys like Na, where I'm not a Piercy guy, I'm not a Kevin Na guy, but those stats, man, they pop. And, if you want some Piercy and GPPs this week, I don't hate it. But whenever Piercy gets popular, man, he misses the cut. Reavie, lock him in on FanDuel, man. This is my guy. This week. I think he's going to top 20 at least. He loves this course history-wise. His stats pop here. Everything I want. That par 3 range kills it. That par 4 range kills it. 13th in this range of irons, which I love to see because that means he's going to stripe his drives down the, easy to hit fairways. He's going to hit him right to this range, 125 to 150, man, and he's going to pound greens. And his putter has been on, too, and I am a big fan of this guy this week. He's a par 70 scorer. I'm going to be all in on Reavie, man. Good drive percentage is high. I don't think he's going to get those trees, man. I'm in on Reavie. He's going to be in all my lineups. DraftKings, it's hard for me, though, just because, if I'm taking a 6.9K guy, it's going to be Webb. Maybe that's the wrong angle. Maybe I do want Reavie, but I think Webb is overall a better golfer, and I'm going to go with that better golfer angle and just stick with Webb. I will have Reavie in DraftKings GPPs, though. Hadwin, I've been off Hadwin ever since those hot tournaments. He hasn't shown any upside recently, and I don't think he does. Here, I could be wrong. 0 of 2 miscuts here. Missed the cut on the number both times. Just not sold on him right now. I think he's cooled down considerably. These stats are still raised from when he was, getting those top 10s, getting that win, I think at the Valspar. And I'm just not going to be on Hadwin this week, man. I see the merit to it, but I don't see the need to go down that cheap when I think Grillo and Dillette have better upside above him. Danny Lee, I think, has a lot of upside this week. I'm going to play him in GPPs. He is never a cash play for me. I honestly wouldn't hate it if you did. I just don't love the play this week. After those 2 really good results, 49th, I think, twice in a row. Can't fault a guy for that, but, it's one of those Danny Lee things where, Danny Lee, 4th, 49th, I think. So, you look at this and it's like, what does Danny Lee do? He goes hot and cold, 17th, 56th, 20th, 39th, miscut, 5th, 6th, 49th, 47th. And these were spots that I was all over Danny Lee, but I had a big cut sweat with him at the St. Jude, and I do not want to do that again. So I don't mind him here, but like I said, the good drive percentage, all these numbers here kind of scare me. So if I had to lean anywhere, it would be Webb. Wes Bryant's another interesting guy. We were on him earlier this year. Approach game strong. The driver has been bad, so I'm just not going to have, excuse me, any of him this week. I just don't want to go there, but I can see the merit in it. Two guys I want to touch on real quick before getting out of here. John Ha really pops in my par 4, 450 to 500. He's 28th in the PGA Tour in that, so I don't mind a flyer on him. Really bad course history, though, but if I had to pick a guy in this low range, it's going to be Jonathan Randolph. Made the cut at the U.S. Open. I really like to see that. He's riding a high off of that. And yeah, he's made his only cut here before, and at 5,100 on FanDuel, I'm going to have some Jonathan Randolph. He's a guy that I think is good for that price range. I think he has potential as a long-term pro, and I'm going to have some of him this week, and that's about it. There is a guy named Wyndham Clark who I read a stat that his there's some sort of rating for college golfers. I think it's for college golfers only, but he any sort of rating category where you fall in between John Rahm's junior and senior seasons at Arizona State. In that category, you're going to be a good golfer, I think. So I have some interest in Wyndham Clark, but like I said, I don't make multiple lineups, so probably not going to go there. But that's all I got. So I'm going to upload this and send it around and hope some people can take a listen. Sorry it's a little late. Work this week. I had to stay a little late, so I couldn't get the cheat sheet ready, but it's ready now, and you got to take a look at it. So, if you found this helpful, drop a like, and good luck this week.